Welcome everyone to a new session of Yeshiva Classroom, and we're going to try something very different today. We're going to start out with the viewer's test. You, the viewer out there, are being tested, and I'm going to explain. I'm going to give you a question, and I want you to think about it. And here's the question. Suppose you gave a loved one a gift, whether it's a spouse or a child, whatever, a friend, and the friend loves it. He feels so happy about the gift. And so what does that make you feel? You feel happy that he enjoys it. You feel good that he enjoys the gift. Again, I'm going to give you the question right after this because there may be some late tutor-inners. And again, I'm going to repeat the test that I'm giving the viewers, you out there, wherever you are. And the test is, suppose you have a gift and you give it to a friend, and the friend enjoys it. He loves it so much, so you feel great. You feel good. Now, the question I'm posing to you is, now you understand what I'm saying. You feel good, and I'm sure you all experience that good feeling that you get when you give over something, a good deed, or you're learning something. It's a good feeling. Now the question is, where does that feeling emanate from? Again, the viewers out there, take a few seconds. You feel you gave the gift. You feel good because the recipient loves it, and that feeling of feeling good, where is it? Take a few seconds and pretend you're giving over that gift, and that friend enjoys it, right? And you feel good, right? Where is that feeling? Where does it emanate from? Do you feel it in your stomach? I'm sure you feel it, right? If you haven't started it, do it now. I want everybody to pretend that they feel good because they gave over something to a loved one. And that feeling you experience now, right? You feel it? You feel that feeling? Where is it? Is it your gut? Is it your heart? You know what I'm talking about? And that's the question that I want you all to dwell on, because that feeling is not a heart or a lung or an organ. That's your soul, S-O-U-L, S-O-U-L. And the soul enjoys that good feeling, and it accumulates that good feelings so that our demise will be able to turn that in, like turning in a book of green stamps at the completion. So that feeling is good. And the Torah says, and we say every day in our prayers, that the doing of good deeds and the learning of the Torah is without limit. You can do them as often, and it is for your benefit, because the interest remains here, but the principle comes to the next world with you. Now, we gave you a theoretical and a practical question that you could feel, that you could understand. And now we're going to go, that is talking about good deeds, helping people, making peace between friends, accompanying the dead, because that's a chesed shalem. that's a kindness that you're not going to reciprocate, that no one's going to reciprocate to you. The thieves cannot reciprocate that. Dowering the bride, helping the poor, giving charity to the needy. So all of those things are not only good deeds, but they are Torah directives, and you feel that, and that's important to accumulate. But I'm going to tell you something more, and that is, it says that good deeds are very important, but all of those gemilas chasodim, those charitable acts, are important, but the learning of Torah is equal to all of them. The learning of Torah is equal to all of them, because learning Torah gives you just like you receive the good deed, you also receive a good mark and a good feeling when you learn Torah. You get that good feeling, and they count as a double grant when you do that. And what does the Torah say? I'm going to give you a kasha, because that's how we learn Torah, right? Torah. It says in the Torah, right? We're going to do it. We just now went over doing good deeds and get that good feeling. Now we're going to get the good feeling from learning Torah. And how is that accomplished? By a kasha and a teretz. That's how we learn. It's not just opening up a book and reading. Of course, there's our Agadata parts where you can, where it breaks off a little bit of the question and answer. But basically, I'm going to give you a kasha, a question and an answer from the Torah, from the Chumash, from the 5 books of Moses that was given at Mount Sinai. Right? And here's the question. It says over there in the Torah that the Egyptians enslaved you for 210 years. And they killed and murdered you. And they threw your babies into the Nile River. Yet, when the Torah speaks of Amalek, a wicked group that attacked the feeble and the infirm on the leaving and entering Israel, it says over there that his name, the Amalek, those of Amalek should be wiped out, driven out. They're evil. They are evil, hating, period. Hating. And the question is, right? Here's the question. How come the Amalek have to be driven out and not remembered, but the Egyptians who murdered and killed and did horrific acts against the Jewish people are able to re-enter the Jewish people through marriage after the 3rd generation. They're able to re-enter and marry into the Jewish people. You hear the question? The question is, the Egyptians did horrific acts for 210 years, and they could come back into the family of Israel. While Amalek did one evil act, and he's banned for life. He is to be driven out. You hear the question? Now you have to review it in your own mind. Because you know what? there's always these advertisements of coming to learn and learn a page of Talmud a day, or learn a 2 pages and a daf a day. But there's a lot of people that are not even on first base. They don't get the question. How are they going to come in and learn a page of Gemara when they don't even know, like, the simple questions like I propose now? And the question is, right, some people are going to get it. Some people are going to jump to an answer, but they don't get the question. And the question is, how come the Egyptians can re-enter Israel, the family, and marry into this family after they did 210 years of horrific acts against us? And the Amalek did 1 act, are banned for life. Those are 2 psukim, 2 sentences in the Torah that present a kasha to you. I want everybody out there to think about what I said and how it presents a stira, a contradiction, that 2 sentences should contradict each other. There must be an explanation. I want to count to 10 while you think of the kasha and review it in your mind, because certain people are not going to get it even if I explained it now once. Review it in your mind. 210 years, they can enter. 1 act, they're banned forever. So that's the question. And getting the question is difficult. Some questions are easy, some are harder. So the answer is, by the Egyptians, that was rational hatred. What do I mean, rational hatred? They had experienced a small group in a few generations previously called Ikas, and they came to Egypt and they took over they took over the country, and they made their own paro. And the Egyptians didn't want that to happen again, because they saw the same thing with the Jewish people coming in as a small group. So they wanted to hate them, and it was a rational hatred. Right? We're doing the answer. Rational hatred. While the other Amalek hated and did horrific acts for no reason. It was pure, unadulterated hatred. And that is a no-no. And those are evil people. They have to be driven out. And, you know, there's other little queries that are interesting. You know, we're doing this program on January the 21st, Sunday, 2024. This is tape number 472, and it's the Pasha ending with a bow, and it says over there regarding Pesach, it says over there that you should do no work on this holiday except for food that you can prepare on that day. So we have, it's called a binyan av, a model. It should be a model for all the holidays. Sukkot, Shavuos, Rosh Hashanah. It should be a model that no work is allowed, and except for food for the that day. So that's called one of the ways of learning Torah, binyan av. And there's another beautiful thought that it says it rained manna. It rained manna. What does it mean? Manna came from heaven. Just like rain comes from heaven, we should learn out that manna comes from heaven. Another support that manna came from heaven. And here's another little thought. In chapter 29 in Deuteronomy, the book of Deuteronomy, it says all the people were gathered. The Bnei Israel, the people who converted, those that were staying there temporarily, all came before the wood chopper, the water hauler. They all came before Moses, and they passed through 29:13 in Deuteronomy. Look it up, 29:13 in Deuteronomy, and they passed through together with the imprecations, together with all the 98 curses, that would befall them if they didn't stop. If they didn't stop doing transgressions. Now, there's an interesting thought on the Holocaust. Why did God allow the 6 million to be systematically annihilated? And one answer is that God in his kindness saw that generation was the largest group of people in our history that began to defect from Judaism, and they took all kind of isms, but they wanted to defect, and they were defecting, and God in his infinite wisdom says, I'll save these little people and these infants and young people, and I'll bring them automatically to the next world, and they will earn the next world, because the soul in Kohelet, chapter 12, verse 7, the soul returns to God who gave it. The soul returns to God who gave it. In Genesis, Bereshit, the first book of the Bible, of the Jewish Bible, it says over there, God breathed the soul into the nostrils of man, into the nostrils of man. So we're giving you some different types of kashas and answers. And it says over there in Parshas Bo, that in Exodus that we're reading now, right? We're reading the book of Exodus. It says over there that you should break the neck of the donkey if you do not liberate the lamb. You should break the stiff neck of the donkey if he does not liberate the lamb. Lamb being the Jewish children. And the stiff neck being Paro. So that's what happened. Paro let the people go, and we took the lamb as the offering for Pesach. Well, so that yeah, and also there's a lot of thought about the people who left Israel and how they traveled through the desert, and it says over there that when they transgressed, God afflicted the edge of the camp. The edge of the camp. It usually started with the edge of the camp. Who were the camp? The Jews traveled in tribal formation. with the Mishkan, the portable temple, in the middle. So the edges of the camp were inhabited by the Erev Rav in Hebrew, or the mixed multitude of Gentiles who came out with the Jewish people, and at a time started to transgress by falling back to their old ways, their old habits. And that's where we learn not to assimilate. It's a people that dwells alone, not to be counted amongst the nations. That's in Numbers. Look them up, write them down, 23:9. It's a people that dwells alone. It should not be counted amongst the nations. So there we gave you a kasha from our everyday knowledge, from the Chumash, from the 5 books of Moses, and also from the Talmud, right? We learn the Talmud. We learn about the Talmud, and that's why it's so important to learn the Talmud. And it's in English. Everything is in English, and you can get the same meaning and the same kasha and teretz from Talmud to make you feel good, and you get double points. You get double points by saying a kasha and a teretz in the Talmud. And I'm going to give you a kasha and a teretz from the Talmud, because every session we learn Talmud, and we call Talmud time. And one kasha and teretz from the Talmud is as follows. And the very beginning of the Talmud, the first Gemara that we learn, it says, Me'amosai Torah Neshama B'Yavim. We learn this every week. From when to when are the parameters of saying the Shema Yisrael prayer of the evening? What are the parameters? And everyone agrees, the beginning parameter, when can be, you can say the Shema Yisrael prayer all day long, but in order to get your daily credit, you have to say it in the evening at certain times. And the times are in the beginning parameter when the 3 stars come out. And everybody, Rabbi Judah Nasi, he culled all the teachings, and he came up with a consensus that everybody agreed. All the rabbis and the majority of rabbis agreed that the onset parameter of when we can begin to say the Shema Yisrael of the evening and get credit for it is when the 3 stars come out. Okay? So what does Gemara, what does the Talmud say? It says, Me'amosai Torah Neshama B'Yavim. From when to when can we learn, can we read the Shema Yisrael of the evening? The answer, not when the 3 stars come out. From the time that the Kohanim enter to eat their truma. From the time that the Kohanim enter to eat their truma. Well, what kind of answer is that? I mean, everybody agrees that the 3 stars come out. So why did it say from the time that the Kohanim enter to eat their truma? That's a kasha from the Talmud. Kasha from the Talmud. And think about the question. I'm not going to give you the answer, because you could get the answer from getting English Talmud, right? It's the first ones that we learn, the first words. Or you can ask your rabbi, but you can review it in your mind what that kasha is, and you get good points for it, right? Remember that kasha, right? How come it doesn't write when the 3 stars come out? Everyone agrees to it. It says, from from the time that the Kohanim enter to eat their truma. What kind of answer is that? Why does it answer that way? Now, the question is, many places, the psychologists and the sociologists and the historians wonder why the Jews survived, right? We were exiled from all the nations of the world, and one by one they threw us out, but they can't understand why we keep surviving. In other words, we should be assimilated into the culture of the predominant culture of that country. But it doesn't happen. Why doesn't it happen? What does it say over here? Because a divine history book, because of a divine history book, a.k.a. Torah, because of a divine history book, the Torah that we bring with us. Not everybody is not running to the new country from 1290 in England. They were kicked out until 1600 when they were allowed to come back because they wanted to have some basis for divorce or whatever, and the king, whatever, they allowed them back after 400 years. So what are we saying? That because of the divine book, the history book of the Torah. Yeah, we have a history book. It tells us. Now, only the history book, not everybody's running there with their Torah and everything, but there is a few individuals, it's like in America, and after World War II, there's a few individuals that have that strong desire, that strong character to emulate Abraham and to set up schools that teach Torah day and night. And slowly those that are not gifted with such character traits are weaned back to the Torah. They're weaned back because, now, it's very interesting to note, when did we get the Torah? After the Jews went out of Egypt. When they went out of Egypt, that's when we got the Torah. When they marched from the 50th day, from Passover to Shavuos, and on the 50th day, where you declared the holiday of Shavuos, and we got the Torah. But what did we get there? We got the Ten Commandments. Where's the Torah? With the 5 books of Moses. How could that have been given if the history was not, if the history was not executed? There's a future time that the Torah talks about, and it goes up to Exodus, right? Right? It said, you got the 10 Commandments, and then it says, Ve'elim Mishpatim, in 21, and you got the civil laws, responsibilities, liabilities. Those are 20, to chapter 24 in Exodus. Chapter 20 to chapter 24. Those are the torts. Those are the torts, the civil laws, liabilities, responsibilities, judgments. They were given, and God told Moses to tell all of this book to the Jewish people. And it's called Sefer HaBris, the Book of the Covenant, in chapter 24. And God said, wait, I want you to write that down in the book called Sefer HaBris, the Book of the Covenant. And then read it to them. And he did so, and all the people said, Nasa, and Hebrew, Nasa v'nishma. We will do, and we will learn. We will do what was written in that you taught us, and we learned them. So, So that's the book that we got, and basically it was the Sefer HaBris and the Ten Commandments. But how did they get the rest of the Torah? They were in the desert for 40 years. What are they doing in 40 years? With the Ten Commandments and the Sefer HaBris, they figured out all the commandments. All the commandments and directives and the ordinances that they should follow from the Ten Commandments. That's how they learned, and that's how it's written. And it was written down. Finally, it was completed. In the 40 years of their traveling, they took the ark and they went to a different place. And they had, in 40 years, they did 42 stops. And one stop was 19 years. And finally, in Deuteronomy chapter 31:24, right, write it down. I mean, you just can't, you got to work. Pick up some of these psukim and you can expand on them. Read Rabbi Victor Miller's comments on the Sedra. So where were we? So again, 19 stops, and then and Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 24, it says, God dictated God dictated the Torah to Moses, and Moses wrote 12 copies and gave them each tribe a copy of the Torah. He gave each tribe a copy of the Torah. Now look, you have to review this a little bit, to get all the things together, but basically that's the outline. 31:24, there was dictated to them. And that's why the Jews believe. That's why the Jews believe. Because they got the divine history book that they learned for 40 years, and then they got the finished copy, and there was witnesses. 3 million Jewish forefathers traveled during those 40 years. 3 million men, women, and children. Where does it say that? It says in Numbers, Book of Numbers, it says over there, Book of Numbers, that all the men from ages 20 to when they go to war, doesn't say the end parameter, until when they go to war, numbered 603,550. And so they didn't count the older people or the younger people, but under 20. And so that comes to about 1 million. And you multiply that by 2, the women and children. So it comes out to 3 million people were witnesses. They were witnesses, our forefathers. Or there may be some people that are not so strong and fall away. I mean, that's the 9th commandment of the 10 commandments. What did it say? There was darkness. Those people who believed not wholeheartedly and disbelieved. Like it says in 29, in Deuteronomy 29, 13. Again, 29:13. And if there be an individual amongst you that is that a gall and wormwood is attached to him, and an evil inclination follows, and he claims that peace will be for me, even though I go in my own ways. That's what he thinks. But we know that doesn't happen, because those individuals that didn't have that characteristic were done away with in the plague of darkness. Those Jews and were done away with. So right, we have to go. So here we have 3 million. That's why we believe. I mean, we have, the Roman civilization, they all came after us. Sparta, Greek civilization, Babylonians, they all were powerful. The Third Reich, they all were powerful. They could do what we do. And yet, still in all, the few individuals that have that strong characteristic of wanting to keep the promise that the Jewish people made with God, and that they passed through the covenant, right? And that's what it says over there in 64. With these words, I seal the covenant with you, besides the covenant that I made at Horeb. Well, where is Horeb? Horeb is the area where Mount Sinai was located. So here are the areas that we have. At 3 million. 3 million at each stop. Splitting of the sea. Splitting of the Sea of Reeds. 3 million. People saw that, and they traveled through the isles. At Torah at Sinai, on Mount Sinai, the Torah at Mount Sinai, there were 3 million witnesses over there. So of course we have that feeling that we want to keep our covenant with God. Of the 10 plagues in Egypt, there were 3 million enslaved Jewish people there. They saw this happening. Of course they know what was happening. And that God was in back of it. And that's why there'll be strong people no matter where we go in exile. We'll set up schools of learning for men, women, and children. Manna from heaven. It rained manna. Rained. Manna tasted like anything you wanted to taste like. It rained manna. Just like rain comes from heaven, so does manna come from heaven. And they had it for 40 years in the desert. There were 3 million witnesses. Water from the rock. Water from the rock, 3 million witnesses. And chapter 8, verse 2 and 3, it says that God does not live, again, man does not live by bread alone. What comes out of the mouth of God. And the feet did not swell, and the clothing grew with them, on them. So these are miracles, and now that's why we will continue to exist. There will always be a characteristic that will make Jews come together. And I see it in my own family, thank God, Bli Ayin Hara, that my son, who's in dentistry, has a dental practice, and he has a outreach program that goes over the entire nation to give high school credits, to high school seniors credits for college if they take the course. He also he has about 8 men that learn Talmud with him for over 10 years. And his son, Kolev, has that too. Being he's in college and going for a profession, he also invites on many holidays people from the school to his home where they can enjoy a Jewish holiday. So we have that in our genes. But what you have to do is don't say, well, listen, I have to get him a good job, and therefore he got to be a half a day in Torah studies. No, that's not how it works. It can't be a half a day equal secular subject and a half a day Torah. How much Torah can you get? No, my children, thank God, they went to school where they learned all day Torah. And from 5 to 7, that's when they had secular subjects. Because if you learn Torah so much, so greatly, it's a snap when you come to secular subjects. So that's why when you send your children to school, find a place that emphasizes Torah with secular behind. Now, their gods, their gods, have no witnesses like the Jewish people have witnessed. They make human decrees, while the Torah and Deuteronomy, we can make a drush. Deuteronomy 30 verse 19. Chapter 30 verse 19. What does it say over there? I put before you life and death. Choose life that you may live. That you may live. That's what it says. Choose life that you may live. And that's talking about in a drush of the next world. And Ecclesiastes, who Solomon wrote, the wisest man on his planet. The 12 verse 7. The soul returns to God who gave it. And the last sentence in that chapter is the sum of the matter when everything is considered. The observance and performance of the mitzvahs is all that matters. That's what he wrote. Look at it. Ecclesiastes, Koheles in Hebrew, and chapter 12, I think it's verse 14, the last chapter. So we have. So what does it say? Mitzvah. The acronym for you have to look out for mitzvahs. Good deeds. Those are mitzvahs, but you get double points if you learn Torah. We gave Torah out and you tell the people. Let the people know. People don't appreciate it. They never went to yeshiva. How are they expected to learn Daf Yomi? They never get to first base yet. They never went to school. How are you going to do it? Let them look into this program. I gave you a kasha and a teretz for a mitzvah to do a good deed. I gave you a kasha and a teretz on the Bible from the Chumash, 210 years, Egypt, and one time for the Amalek, and I gave you a kasha on this time frame of saying the Talmud, saying the Talmud. So that's it. Not only do you learn for yourself, but in any way you can, you have to let the people learn. And it's not like giving speeches like I'm doing here, but they have to get the book. First you get Rabbi Victor Miller, Behold the People, and his Cedra. You can get Rejoice, O Youth, which is ideology. So many books, you can't get it all at once, but do a little bit at a time. Little by little. Yeah, so that's what it says. So remember, we did a viewer's test, and that's what it says over there, that how the Jews survived, and we wanted to do some other things today, but look, tell your friends that give them some chizuk, some inspiration to make them learn, but they have to learn themselves, not listen to speeches, and the synagogue and the rabbi in the synagogue has to be speechless, and they should set aside before the Kiddush time to learn and give him books in English, whatever level they're at. Make sure that he is in a Seder. So I'm going to conclude with what Hillel said, and basically what he said was, if I am not for me, who will be for me? And if I only for myself, what am I? If not now, when? With that, I wish you all the best and to grow in Torah and good deeds. Thank you.